Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to Sansad TV. I am Teena Jha with the news, where we take you through all that's happened during the day across India and the world. From the second part of the budget session of Parliament to the latest on government formation in states where elections were held recently, to the big developments on the Russia-Ukraine crisis. We'll get you all of that over the next 30 minutes. Let's begin with the top stories first. Budget session of Parliament resumes. Lok Sabha passes Jammu and Kashmir budget for the year 2022-23. Rajya Sabha discusses working of Ministry of Development of the Northeastern region. Centre assures it will take care of education of students evacuated from Ukraine. Education Minister tells Lok Sabha all efforts will be made to help them become doctors. Daily cases of COVID fall to their lowest level in 680 days. War continues in Ukraine. Fourth round of talks underway amid Russia's advance on the capital Kiev. Good news on the economic front. Country's exports grow 25.1% in February to $34.57 billion, 10% growth in retail business. A quick look at some other stories that made news through the day today. Civil Aviation Minister flags off daily flight on Indore-Gondia-Hyderabad route. Austrian Parliamentary delegation calls on Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla. Longest length of flexible pavement road construction in 100 hours awarded to PNC Infratech Limited, says Union Minister Nitin Gadkari. Supreme Court expresses concern over false claims to receive COVID ex-gratia of 50,000 rupees. Met Department issues heat wave alert in parts of Kerala, Konkan region, Rajasthan, Gujarat and Mumbai. Tata Sons Chairman N. Chandrasekharan appointed as the Chairman of Air India. The US and China to hold talks in Rome, Ukraine on the agenda. Pradeep Kumar Rawat takes charge as new ambassador of India to China. 5 Indian students killed in a road accident in Ontario, Canada. And Sports Minister Anurag Thakur congratulates shuttler Lakshya Sen on winning silver at German Open 2022. So first, the Parliament news. The second part of the budget session resumed on Monday after a 30-day recess, during which the department-related parliamentary standing committees examined the demands for grants of various ministries and departments. In view of the declining COVID-19 cases, both houses resumed normal sittings for the second part of the session. In the Lok Sabha, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented a 1.42 lakh crore rupees budget for the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir for the year 2022-23. Sitharaman also presented the supplementary demands for the year 2021-22, totaling 18,860.32 crore rupees for the Union Territory. Lok Sabha MPs participated in the discussion as well. Let's listen in.
Government of India grant under MHA to J&K is 35,581.44 crores for this forthcoming year, budget year 22-23, as against 30,757 crores in the current prevailing budget 21-22. So that is a grant which goes towards activities in J&K, and in that 15.69% increase is provided within 1 year.
Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan assured the Lok Sabha that the government will help Ukraine return students in completing their education. He also said that Operation Ganga to evacuate Indian students from Ukraine is proof of the collective wisdom of 130 crore Indians. Pradhan was replying to a question raised by Congress MP Gaurav Gogoi. Listen in.
मैं अपेक्षा कर रहा था वो उनकी पार्टी और सदन की ओर से माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी को ऑपरेशन गंगा के लिए बधाई देना चाहिए। मैं आपको निवेदन करता हूं, ऑपरेशन गंगा प्रधानमंत्री के नेतृत्व में हुआ, लेकिन 130 करोड़ भारतीयों की एक कलेक्टिव विजडम कैसे होती है अपने बच्चों के लिए, ये उसके प्रमाण है। जब ले ही आए हैं उनको, उनके भविष्य में भारत सरकार सामूहिक रूप में उनको डॉक्टर बनाने के लिए जो जो व्यवस्था रहेगी उसकी चिंता करेगी। आप उसमें अस्वस्थ रहिए। आज तो उनको संभालने के लिए, उनको शौक से निकालने की टाइम है। आप उस सभी लोग हम उसी में लगे।
Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu also praised the Indian government's efforts to evacuate students from Ukraine amid Russia's invasion.
You are all aware of the situation in Ukraine. A large number of Indian students were required to be evacuated in the context of this situation there. This was a very challenging task. The government of India rose to and also the state governments rose to the occasion in evacuating Indian students as well as some students of other nationalities. These efforts are praiseworthy.
Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla on Monday welcomed a parliamentary delegation from Austria led by Wolfgang Sobotka, President of the National Council of Austria in the lower house. Om Birla said India-Austria relations go back 7 decades. He stressed the special significance that India attached to these relations. Delegation members also saw the under-construction building of Parliament and appreciated its 3D images. Om Birla informed that the Austrian parliamentarians who arrived in India on the 13th of March have also visited Agra. They will be visiting Hyderabad before returning to Austria on the 17th of March. On to some other news. Manipur's incumbent Chief Minister N. Biren Singh on Monday took oath as a member of the Legislative Assembly. MLAs, in fact, were administered the oath of office in secrecy by S. Rajan Singh, who took oath as the Protem Speaker of the Manipur Assembly on Sunday. Elected members who took oath as MLAs include 32 from the BJP, 7 from the National People's Party, 6 from the Janata Dal United, 5 each from the Congress and the Naga People's Front. 2 members are also from the Kuki People's Alliance and 3 of them are independents. 5 elected women candidates also took oath as members of the Manipur Assembly. And UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath is on a tour of Delhi after his party secured a massive victory in the state assembly elections. He first called on President Ramnath Kovind on Monday. The Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister had also met Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Union Home Minister Amit Shah, Party Chief JP Nadda and several other senior leaders as well on Sunday. Governor of Goa, P.S. Sridharan Pillai, has summoned the session of the State Assembly for new MLAs to take oath on Tuesday. The BJP will be forming the government for the 3rd term in a row after emerging as the single largest party in the state. The party has the support of the MGP and 3 independent MLAs, 2 central observers of the BJP, party's General Secretary B.L. Santosh and Union Minister Piyush Goyal are slated to reach Goa to decide the chief ministerial phase. On to some other news now. Daily COVID cases have seen a drastic decline in the country. 2,503 cases were recorded in the last 24 hours, which is the lowest tally in as many as 680 days. Patients undergoing treatment stand at 36,168, which is also the lowest in 675 days. The recovery rate has climbed to 98.72%. 4,377 people have recovered in the last 24 hours. And total recoveries have gone past over 4,24,41,000. Both the daily and weekly positivity rate is 0.47%. 77,90,00,000 COVID tests have been conducted in the country so far. In the last 24 hours, over 5,32,000 tests were conducted. Meanwhile, the government will start anti-COVID vaccination of children in the 12 to 14 age group beginning the 16th of March. They will be given Corbevax vaccine produced by Hyderabad-based Biological Evans Company. The government has also allowed booster doses for people above 60 years suffering from other diseases. From the 16th of March, everyone over the age of 60 will be able to get it. So far, 180 crore doses have been given under the nationwide vaccination campaign. News now from other parts of the country. The budget session of the Assam Assembly started with Governor Jagdish Mukhi's address. The governor said the government has started the process of providing jobs to 1 lakh youth. The speech, however, was marred by protests. Independent MLA Akhil Gogoi was told to leave the House for the duration of the speech for trying to disrupt the House. Assam Speaker Biswajit Demari administered the oath of office in secrecy to newly elected BJP MLA Bhuban Gam on the first day of the budget session. Bhuban recently won the by-election from Majuli. His victory takes the number of BJP MLAs to 63 in the 126-member Assam Assembly. In Telangana, G. Sukhendra Reddy was unanimously elected as Speaker of the Legislative Council for a second term. The Secretary of the Legislative Council said only Sukhendra Reddy's nomination was received. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee paid homage to those killed in police firing in the anti-land acquisition agitation in Nandigram back in 2007. She said her government is extending all possible help to the farmers to help increase their yield. 14th March is celebrated as Farmers' Day in Bengal. ITBP Assistant Sub-Inspector Rajendra Singh was martyred in a blast triggered by Naxalites in Narayanpur district of Chhattisgarh. One constable was injured as well. Both were part of the 53rd Battalion of the ITBP that was deployed for protection of the road construction work between Sonpur and Thondribeda villages. Meanwhile, holy celebrations began with Rang Bhari Ekadashi at the Bake Bihari temple in Vrindavan in Uttar Pradesh. Thousands of people took part in the festival. And news now from the world of business and economy. The bullish trend in Indian markets continued for the 5th session in a row. BSE benchmark index Sensex climbed 936 points on firm buying in banking and IT stocks amid softening crude oil prices. Sensex closed at 56,486.02 points, up 935.72 points or 1.68%, while Nifty of the National Stock Exchange also gained 240.85 points or 1.45% to reach 16,871.30 points. Among other Asian markets, markets in Hong Kong and Shanghai closed down significantly, while Tokyo closed with marginal gains. Stock markets in the US were at a lower level on Friday. Meanwhile, international oil benchmark Brent crude fell 2.97% to $109.3 a barrel. In some good news, India's exports grew by 25.1% to $34.57 billion in February, driven by better performance in sectors like engineering, petroleum and chemicals. According to the Commerce Ministry, overall exports grew by 46.09% to $374.81 billion in the April to February period of fiscal 2021-22. It was $256.55 billion in the same period a year ago. And with that, time for a short break here, but coming up on the other side, world news including stealth Omicron spread in China. Details on that and much more when we return. Do stay with us.
I appeal to all of you.
मामले में महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दों को उठाइए।
मैं आपकी अनुमति से
कोई सरकार इस पे विचार कर रही है।
What is important for all of us to realize is
what I want to ask the Honourable Minister.
What specific intervention are you doing?
पॉलिटिक्स कर देश में भेद खड़ा नहीं करना चाहिए।
सरकार इसके लिए निरंतर प्रयास कर रही है।
A report of the Department of Parliament Standing Committee.
प्रश्न ये है कि विधेयक पारित किया जाए।
हमारे मंत्रालय ने
6 साल में
आम जनता तक पहुंचाने की व्यवस्था है।
We all know the importance of good health, but often we don't know how to achieve it. There's plenty of information available, but again, we don't know what is right and what is wrong. To know the truth and get your answers straight from some of India's top specialists, join me, Dr. Amrish Mithal, on Healthy India, only on Sansad TV.
thanks for staying with us on the news. All the updates now from the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Russian and Ukrainian negotiators held a new round of talks on Monday, the fourth one involving higher-level officials from the two countries. However, as the conflict rages, India has decided to temporarily relocate the Indian embassy in Ukraine to Poland, as fighting in the country, of course, has intensified. Meanwhile, Ukraine's President Zelensky once again urged NATO to impose a no-fly zone over his country. Here's a report.
The Yovorov military training base near Poland border is completely devastated. Russian cruise missiles targeted the sprawling city, killing 35 people. The attack at NATO's doorstep drew angry reactions from Poland that called it an attempt to threaten NATO. It charged Putin with trying to destroy the world we are living in. In midst of war gloom, there was hope too. Ukrainian and Russian negotiators are meeting virtually. Ukrainian negotiator Mikhailo Podolyak says the fourth round of talks will focus on establishing a ceasefire, the withdrawal of Russian troops, and security guarantees for Ukraine. Even President Zelensky, in his message to the nation, said he is waiting for a meeting with Russian President Putin. Meanwhile, Ukrainian capital Kiev saw massive bombing on the weekend. Satellite town Irpin was targeted, leaving many civilian casualties. While Ukraine claims that the Russians are being halted, Russia released a video claiming its advance towards Kiev continues unhindered. It also showed captured Ukrainian armored vehicles and weapons being handed over to separatist forces in eastern Donbas region. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
News now from the other parts of the world. Strong and shallow earthquakes shook western Indonesia and the Philippines' main island early on Monday. In Indonesia, a 6.7 magnitude earthquake hit off the west coast of Sumatra Island, and in the Philippines, a 6.4 magnitude tremor struck 110 kilometers off the Luzon Island. Officials in both countries said there were no immediate reports of casualties or damage, and there was no tsunami either threat. In fact, no threat of tsunami threat as well from either quake. Chinese authorities reported 1,337 locally transmitted cases of COVID-19 across dozens of mainland cities on Monday, as the fast-spreading variant commonly known as stealth Omicron fueled China's biggest outbreak in 2 years. All 17 million people in the Chinese tech hub of Shenzhen began their first full day under lockdown on Monday. Omicron flared up in factories and neighborhoods linked to nearby Hong Kong, which is recording scores of daily deaths as the virus runs rampant. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday wished a quick recovery in a tweet to Barack Obama hours after the former US president announced that he tested positive for COVID. In a late-night tweet, Obama gave an update with an appeal, and I quote, "I just tested positive for COVID. I've had a scratchy throat for a couple of days, but I'm feeling fine otherwise. Michelle and I are grateful to be vaccinated and boosted, and she has tested negative. It is a reminder to get vaccinated if you haven't already," unquote. The White House says President Joe Biden is considering a range of options in case the talks with Iran on salvaging its 2015 nuclear deal fail. Diplomats from the United Kingdom, Germany, France, China and Russia are currently in their 8th round of talks with Iran over its nuclear program, with participants saying the coming days are going to be very crucial. American diplomats are indirectly involved in the negotiations. The negotiators had hoped to reach a deal by now, but a number of sticking points remain. Top Samba schools in Rio began technical rehearsals in the city's historic Samba Dome on Sunday for the first time since 2020, a welcome and highly anticipated return to carnival celebrations that have been hampered by the coronavirus pandemic. The celebrations were cancelled last year due to the pandemic, and this year's Samba Dome parade was postponed from February to late April as COVID-19 cases skyrocketed in January as Brazil tackled the surge caused by the Omicron variant of the virus. News now from the world of science. For over 20 years, an Italian company has been working to help quench the thirst of busy astronauts. But now, as space agencies turn their attentions to the Moon and Mars, the Italian company is also stepping up its efforts to keep pace. Here's a report.
Besides water treatment, this plant in Turin, Italy is also helping in our quest to explore space. For over 20 years, ESMAT has been working on making drinking water for astronauts aboard the International Space Station. Now the research is on the best techniques to produce water for crewed missions to Moon and Mars. ESMAT sent its first water tank to the ISS in 2008 and its last transfer was in 2014. It prepared two types of water, one poor in salts, similar to the American standard, and the other rich in minerals for Russian standards. Eventually, only water for cosmonauts was blasted into space. Water treated for space requires more work. 10 liters of source water produces just one space-bound liter. The estimated price is up to 50,000 euros per liter, mainly due to transportation costs from Earth to space. A 2018 study confirmed a salty water lake on Mars. In 2020, scientists confirmed water on the Moon's sunlit surface. The race is now to prepare water to avoid contamination for at least 2 years, the duration of a round trip to Mars and back. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
And time now for all the action from the world of sports. India have won the two-match test series against Sri Lanka 2-0. Rohit Sharma's men won the day-night pink ball test in Bengaluru by 238 runs. India had set a target of 447 runs for Sri Lanka. Despite a century by captain Dimuth Karunaratne, the Lankans were bowled out for 208 runs in their second innings. Off-spinner Ravichandran Ashwin took 4, while speedster Jasprit Bumrah took 3 wickets in Sri Lanka's second innings. Bumrah took 8 wickets in the match. Shreyas Iyer was named the man of the match in the Bengaluru test. Iyer scored half-centuries in both innings. He scored 92 off just 98 balls in the first innings and 67 in the second innings, consolidating India's lead. Shreyas was also voted ICC Men's Player of the Month for February. Rishabh Pant was named man of the series. Pakistan, meanwhile, are in dire straits in the Karachi test against Australia. Number 1 ranked test team Australia batted on the third day too and finally declared their first innings at 556 for 9. The Australian bowlers then reduced the home team to 148 all out, thus taking a huge 408 runs lead. Australia did not enforce follow-on and were 81 for 1 with an overall lead of 489 runs at the end of day 3. Defending champion England's Women's World Cup campaign lies in tatters with their third loss in 3 matches. South African Marizanne Kapp starred with both ball and bat to give her team their first win over England at a World Cup in more than 2 decades in what turned out to be a thrilling encounter. England made 235 for 9 and South Africa reached the target in the last over, losing 7 wickets. In another thrilling encounter at the Women's World Cup, Bangladesh beat Pakistan by 9 runs. Batting first, Bangladesh set a target of 235 for Pakistan. Opener Sidra Amin, who made a century, kept Pakistan in the hunt, but her run out at 104, besides the horrible performance of Pakistan's middle order, let the match slip and handed Bangladesh a 9-run victory. The Indian women's hockey team beat Germany 3-0 in a dramatic shootout to avenge their first leg defeat in the 2-leg tie of the FIH Pro League on Sunday. The home side lost 1-2 in the shootout in the first match at the Kalinga Stadium in Bhubaneswar on Saturday. Sunday's match 2 went to the shootout after a 1-1 deadlock in regulation time. Indian skipper and goalkeeper Savita had a brilliant shootout to deny the visitors. World Championships bronze medalist Lakshya Sen's giant-killing run ended with a straight-game loss to Thailand's Kunlavut Vidithran in the summit clash of German Open Super 300 badminton tournament on Sunday. The 20-year-old Sen, who was not fully fit during the finals, lost 18-21, 15-21 in 57 minutes to the 3-time world junior champion Vidithran. And to the positive story of the day, a 98-year-old woman in Kenya is providing inspiration to young students by heading to school. Priscilla attends a primary school in the East African country, studying alongside pupils young enough to be her great-grandchildren.
It's never too late to get an education. 98-year-old Priscilla, also known as Gogo, is getting ready to go to school in Kenya's town of Eldoret. Like her younger classmates, she dresses in full school uniform. And at the assembly, she sings alongside people young enough to be her great-grandchildren. After Kenya subsidized primary education in 2003, senior citizens like Priscilla, who had never had a chance to go before, were able to attend school. She's now in 6th grade and showing real aptitude for science, Christian religious studies, and even mathematics. Younger students appreciate having someone older and perhaps a bit wiser to spur them on.
For me, I'm usually top of the class. When we did a zonal exam, she bet me and became at the top of the class. That's when I knew that I must read hard so that Gogo like that can't pass me anymore.
The 98-year-old has also starred in a film about her educational journey titled Gogo. Priscilla worked as traditional midwife and now wants to study to become a doctor. She encourages children to study. Priscilla says she wants to be an example for others, particularly young girls. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
So age is just a number. It's never too late to learn. With that, we'll have to wind up. But before that, a relook at the top stories of the day. Budget session of Parliament resumes. Lok Sabha passes Jammu and Kashmir budget for the year 2022-23. Rajya Sabha discusses working of Ministry of Development of the Northeastern region. Centre assures it will take care of education of students evacuated from Ukraine. Education Minister tells Lok Sabha all efforts will be made to help them become doctors. Daily cases of COVID fall to their lowest level in 680 days. War continues in Ukraine. Fourth round of talks underway amid Russia's advance on the capital Kiev. And good news on the economic front. Country's exports grow 25.1% in February to $34.57 billion. 10% growth in retail business. So that's it from us in the bulletin today. Thanks for your time. Good night.